Good evening all. Welcome to AAC special Christmas Crimbo live stream, and we have some guests. Hello. So we'll get back to those in a minute. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
First of all, I'm going to pass over to Paul and talk about what we've got this evening.
Right. Well, lots to cover again tonight. We always try and squeeze a lot in, but welcome to the second experimental Christmas AAC live stream. Thanks to Paul L again on technical. I can't do this without Paul because I'm too thick. Right. Purpose to bring some light-hearted reefing chat and other nonsense. Tonight we're going to be looking at the following. Number one, Paul Nuke's tank. That's going to be a hot topic tonight. Yeah,
I think they're exaggerating it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Well, nearly nuke.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah, maybe in a few days.
Number two, we've got a Red Sea giveaway. Been really spoiled. Very kind of Red Sea. After the last live stream, because there was so many people that went on to watch it afterwards. I think there was about 700 views or something like that. Something like that, Paul, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Red Sea have spoilt us to death. We've got a Red Sea reef can coming up. We've got refractometer. We've got some what's that? Carbon. A reef ATO. So yeah. Red Sea have really spoilt us. It's really kind of them to do that. Paul L will do the wheel of misfortune. Wheel of misfortune.
Do that later on.
We've also got man versus machine, something that Paul's brought to this again, another one of Paul's crazy madcap ideas. He'll explain that. It's about man versus AI.
Yeah.
Is Paul needed anymore?
That Paul, not this Paul.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Maybe both.
Right.
Paul's needed.
We'll see.
And also we've got Barry in tonight as well to basically discuss with me about what you can expect over Christmas from AAC. And I think for the second, that's probably it. But that's what's coming on. I think we've got the Boxing Day thing to talk about. We've also got our works due to talk about as well. And yeah, so move on to the guests, shall we? Should we do some introductions first of the guests?
Why not?
Got in? So tonight we have in Sam, who some of you will know from AAC, but also a local hobbyist, really into his soft corals, makes a change. Dave Evans. Yeah. Dave Evans. We'll discuss a little bit with Dave in a minute, but Dave's a local hobbyist, Hertfordshire Reef Club, knows an awful lot of you, I'm sure, out there. We've also got Flange in the background of doing stick your head round the corner and just sort of say hello, come round this side.
No, wrong side.
Wrong side, that's it, wrong side.
No, this side, Ange.
That's it, this side. That's it, stick your head in.
There you go.
That's it. We've also got Dylan, who's elf on a shelf tonight. Some of you will know my son Dylan, who's probably been robbing you all as you come in for your coral. Yeah. And we have Connor, of course. He's here to discuss a little bit to do with the online store and that sort of thing. And of course, yes, we've already mentioned Barry, and I think that's about it. But do you want me to talk a little bit with Dave for a bit?
Yes, you do that, and then we'll go and say hello.
So, as you know, what we really like to do on this live stream is try and include local hobbyists. So, if any of you out there fancy doing this one night, get in touch, and we'll see if we can include you within the hobby, within the stream.
Yep.
Tonight, sort of really, we've sort of limited this, got one day, but ultimately, not when there is, because it's an AAC Christmas special as such, we've pulled the staff in tonight a little bit. But, you know, we can have 2 or 3 hobbyists. So if any of you fancy the idea, by all means, get in touch. Dave, yeah, a little bit about you, Dave, really. So what's your reef keeping background? Do you want to tell the folks out there how did you get into it? We were sort of talking earlier and...
So I started with a goldfish.
Yeah,
goldfish,
most of us
small
did.
Little tank for my daughter.
Yeah.
Fish died.
Yeah.
Brought some more goldfish. Fish died.
Yeah, this is not good. This is not good.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's
It's parallel to reef keeping.
I then went to the shop to find out why they died. And they said, well, we don't test the water on goldfish. You want to test the water, it's on marine fish. So I thought, oh, I'll have a go at that then. I bought a cheap sow.
And you've been skint ever since.
Been skint ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, so what your main, I know your main love is stony corals, SPS corals. That's your real thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've been, as I said, as far as I know, you've been a customer of AAC for what, 13 years or something like that, isn't
30, 15 years.
Yeah, something like that. But you initially, do you start with soft corals the same as the rest of us, or?
Yeah, so I started with a mixture, really. I got onto LPS pretty quickly, but couldn't really keep it alive. Didn't know what I was testing, what I was supposed to be looking out for.
And you still don't.
Still don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and as time went on, just the typical route of LPS and then the SPS, and then they're trying to achieve the ultimate mixed reef.
Yeah, and it's fair to say, that you're a bit of a techno. You love toys,
do like
don't you?
a bit of toys.
If there's a new toy out there, you've got to have it. I mean, I've even talked you out of some of the toys in the past,
definitely,
haven't I?
definitely. I do like a gadget.
Yeah.
My wife would do the same thing.
Yeah.
So what's your favourite gadget? What's your favourite gadget?
The Apex. The Apex is the if there was something. I'd any tank, any size tank, I would set up an Apex.
I mean, a lot of that reason is because you work away a lot, don't you? You have you have a building company, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. So at the moment, with last sort of year, I've been working away a lot, and it's obviously come in handy. But it's even to the point you're walking up to the cabinet and you want to switch something off, rather than getting underneath and pulling all the cables that we've all got underneath there. You just switch your skimmer off or switch whatever you want off, and under you go. It just makes things so much easier.
It's like an insurance policy, really.
Exactly
isn't
that.
it?
Exactly that. So yeah, the Apex is definitely.
Yeah. And Sam, your love is soft corals, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's what you're really into. I mean, you've had stony corals, but you've sort of reverted back to.
Yeah, they kind of went white straight away. So.
So they're good.
Very popular.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, right. So, I don't know, Paul L, you want to do the chat?
Yeah.
Want to go back camera, Paul? Is that one?
Yeah, that's that one.
That's it. So,
That's that one.
that's
Go
it.
on.
So, Paul L's going to do the chat. Who's in the
Yes,
chat?
I will
Paul?
do. So first in the house today, Raven1366. Good evening to you. Hope you're well. Steve. Hi, Steve.
Steve.
Hiya.
Good evening.
Techers of the Reefer. Good evening to you. And also Norfolk Reefer. Good
Hello.
evening to you. Hi, Ange. Good to see you in the chat.
That doesn't count.
She's trying to win the Red Sea stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Put me shelves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hiya, JB. Good evening to you. And UKM 120. Good to see you, chat as always. Just scroll down a little bit. Hi, Coast Reefer. Good evening to you. And hi, Carl. Hope you're
Hi,
doing
Carl.
well. Hope you're good. Saw some stuff on the recently. You on the decks? Always.
Yeah, I've been watching his I love. He always likes the same tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Carl, isn't it time for a new?
Yeah.
Let us know when the
Carl
And he-
one tank in the last couple of months.
Yeah, December. Cole, if you had a new tank for December, let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
If you have, I've missed it.
I think he's only had the one
Has
tank
he?
for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Hiya, Woody. I hope the corals are doing well. I took some corals to Canary Wharf in a white polystyrene box last week, 7:30 in the morning, and passed them over to his wife. Really dodgy.
Yeah, it looks really.
So some zoas. I hope zoas are doing well. Right, who else have we got? Just going to move down. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for joining us. Hiya, Haley. Hope you're well. Oh dear, Cole's off. Oh, he's probably missed. He's off at 8. Oh, he's still ill there. He's going to watch the football.
Yeah.
Never mind. Lee's Reef. Good evening
Lee.
to you. Hi, Darren. Glad you can make it. I
Hi,
know you've been
Darren.
out and about today. And Reef and Teeth. Hiya, Jamie.
Hello, mate. All right, Jamie.
Jamie. Good.
Oh,
Uh,
there's no more tanks.
Okay.
For now.
My dad's there. Oh,
I'll say that. Nice one.
You're famous.
The spiritual.
See your son anyway.
You can now say you've been on YouTube.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, there we go. Where are we? Reef 216. Good evening to you.
Evening.
And hiya, Lewis. Hope you're doing well. Chuckle to rarely fishing.
Chuckle to really fishing. Hello there. How you doing?
It's Pete. Hiya.
Oh, it's Peter C. I know who that is. Hi, Pete.
Hiya. Harlan's Reef. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. T Bass Japs. Like that name.
Voila.
And hiya, Surrey Reefer. Right, we're coming down towards the end of that. Hiya, Oliver. Hello, my dad's Dave, by the way.
Just in case anyone
Yeah.
doesn't know.
Yeah.
At least the hope's not.
Dear. Right, that's all the intros. If you've got any other comments, any questions, put them in the chat. And certainly if you've got any questions for Paul, we'll save those for a little bit later when we talk about AI versus Paul.
Well, I mean,
We'll go on to that in a minute.
Yeah, so I think first of all, Paul, I think we've got to tell the world, how have you managed to, what have you done to your tank?
Confession time.
I haven't done anything. So first of all, I don't think it's nuked. So I got up this morning, went into the garage where one of the tanks is, and the Apex DOS doser was on, and it shouldn't have been. And it was dosing all for reef. And I weren't too sure how much it had dosed. So I went to go into Apex, couldn't get into Apex. So I disconnected it. And I couldn't do an alkalinity test because I recently sent off an ICP to Reef's Elements, and it came back in my out on another tank was 5 when I've been testing it at 10. So I think the reagent has gone bad. So all I started doing then was doing some water changes, because when I looked in the container, it looked like maybe about 50 mil. Now, bearing in mind, it's only a 170 litre tank. So I just started doing water changes. Then I went and bought a NIOS test kit, and the alk has come back at 12. So out of 170 litres, I've probably done about 90 litre water change, and I just run out of RO.
I think
So
you'll
we'll
be. I think you'll be okay, because the thing is with all for reef, even though you've really obviously it's sky high with alkalinity, the good thing about all for reef, it's adding it in a balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're adding calcium and you're adding alkalinity at the same time. So it's probably not quite as bad as having just say one channel where you're dosing your alk and then displacing all your elements. So I think it's really important, folks out there. Really, if you're getting low on your test kit reagents, this is where I think possibly Paul's been caught out. When you've got a reagent and you're down to the last,
it was basically probably only about 3 or 4 tests left. So I'm trying to squeeze out. I mean, the date in it's okay. So the date I think is June 25. So plenty of months. And I've only had it this year because I test 3 tanks a week. So if you think of the Red Sea test agent, that lasts probably 75 tests.
It will do, but there's an issue, because obviously the lower you get, the more oxygen is in that space, and that will tamper with the reagent. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be right. I'm just saying that you've got more chance of the test kit telling you lies the smaller the amount of reagent. Just as it interacts with the atmosphere, and you've only got to leave it undone on the kitchen side for say an hour by accident or something like that, and already that reagent is sort of slightly changing. Some test kits are more sensitive than others, so it could well be that although the Red Sea alkalinity kit is very, very accurate, needs precision when you're using it, it makes it quite difficult for some people, actually, the alkalinity kit. It could be just that it was a very small amount, and it might have been. I think
it's a small amount. I mean, I'm using not that kit, but I've been using the Red Sea one.
For years.
Since I started, because I like it, because I like the measurement you can get on it. Whereas others are quite broad. You can, as long as you can read the measurement in it. Then you can. I get on really well with it.
Well, I'm fairly sure that although it sounds like you might have nuked it, because you've dosed, as I say, equal parts of calcium and alkalinity. Although it will rise, it shouldn't have displaced the ionic balance, and plus you've managed to rescue it with a few water changes. But that's the thing. If in doubt, do a water change.
So I've done the water changes. I did test the calcium, and that was 500, which is not out of the ordinary. So if it had gone way off, it probably would have gone off the scale. So I used the Red Sea one for the calcium, so it was in the range. And 12 and alkalinity is not that bad, actually. I've had it before that. I suppose it's just a case if it's a spike or not. That's what would cause a problem.
How fast it went in.
So I mean, it was. I mean, I don't know how long it'd been going for. But unfortunately, it wasn't right up to the top.
Well, you're not the only one, because as Barry, I'm sure, will confirm. Recently, you might have noticed that I've been sort of messing around in Europe. I've been over to France, Belgium, and Holland, and what have you. And while I was over in Holland, I thought I'd make a minor change on my Neptune DOS, and accidentally took the slider onto on. Yeah, and that managed to dose around about 1.5 litres of pH plus into a system with £10,000 worth of corals. But luckily, Barry got up early that morning.
Yeah, we got a message at 20 to 7 that morning.
Yeah,
guys,
and
I think I
as
might
my
have
heart
made a boo-boo.
sunk after I woke up that morning in Holland near my friend's house, and Barry managed to rescue the entire coral by moving them into another system we had.
I was about to say, what did you do, Barry?
Very lucky.
So,
We just moved them into-
sorry, how did you spot it first of all?
I was alerted to it, so Paul had spotted his own thing while he was away. I'm not sure how he picked up on it, but certainly I got a phone call in the morning as well. So I got into work. It was a little cloudy in there, snow globe-esque. Moved them across into another empty table, and fortunately, we managed to rescue, keep everything. So fingers crossed for you too, Paul. Christmas miracle.
So it's always something that actually is very important. I'm from a world of calcium reactors, which even if you left the calcium reactor running, it would never displace your ionic balance, right? When you're dosing, the danger is you do something, it precipitates out, so it looks like snow. But it's something to be aware of. You know, if you are messing around with things like pH plus or those that have a really super high pH and what have you, just be extremely careful and don't do changes to dosing as I did after a few beers really late at night. I don't recommend that.
Tell everyone else not to in the door.
I'll tell everyone else not to in the door. But I decided for whatever reason to make a minor change, and my finger just did a 10 mil change. Yeah, and I ended up dosing. I think it was 1.5 litres into 1,500 all in one go. So
I think it's a really good point about. I never try and do anything after 8 o'clock. In the evening, especially go and do a water change, because like you forget to turn the heater back on. So like if you've got the Apex and you put it on and you go for it, or even on that when you do a water change,
that's how I found
you press a button and then it all goes off for an hour. Because I always forget to turn my heater off. And then it's all right if you've got a DD controller, it starts bleeping, because if you do that late at night and you go to bed, it's bleeping all night. So I always say don't do anything after 8 in the
I always say that's true with holidays.
Well,
if any of you've got holidays, and if you're going on holiday, I always try, because the amount of times that Barry's had a call or I've had a call where people do their last minute jobs just before they're about to get on a plane, and they do a water change, forget to put the ATO on or something like that, and that is usually where people run into trouble. So I always say don't do any work on your reef tank 3 or 4 days beforehand, because it will give you at least the time to spot, if you have made an error, unless your name's Paul Hughes or Paul Longhurst, who does think, never mind. Right, so so there's that.
So I don't think I've nuked it.
You don't think you?
I don't think so, but we'll see. I think you've got to wait probably a week, 2 weeks. There's not much. I mean, if you look at it, there's loads of corals, but it's things like torches, Montes. I've got a couple of Goniopora.
You probably better drop them in for me, and I'll make sure they're all right.
I've got some calls for you on the other tank,
and then I can resell them back to you.
Sounds familiar.
Right,
there'll be people watching the chat. He does that to me too. How do I do it? I go and call.
Oh, don't worry.
I buy the same ones months later, and I've got empty pockets.
Yeah. Well, what would you do with the money otherwise, Paul? I'll help you out. That's the way I look.
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, moving on. Red Sea giveaway then. So how does this work, Paul?
We're going to do it a little bit later on. So later on, I don't know what time, so you have to stay tuned. We'll ask for a comment, and you'll all put a comment in the chat. And then those ones who've watched the live streams usually on a Friday, you then put your name into a Wheel of Misfortune, and then press a button, and whoever's name comes up, win it. And we'll do that 4 times this evening, and it'll be 4 winners, and then I suppose you'll stick them in the post.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll if you're UK. Collection or UK mainland will post. So as I said, we can't unfortunately post to Southern Ireland if anyone's in from Southern Ireland or into Europe or anywhere like that, but we can post into the UK mainland. So all right,
make sure you're enter Jack.
Reef can.
Dave's trying to get his son in there just to do it. So, right, so do a bit more in the chat. Let's see
what we've got. What have I missed? We've got Angela there.
That's it. Reeking. There we go. Drippy, there he is. Look. Oh yeah, I've got a funny story about Drippy today. There he is.
You did a story.
Right, well.
You've seen that Reef King's new name to Sally Foot?
No.
Salfart.
You Salfart instead of Niles, and you'll be all right. Or Red Sea. Drippy. Angela had to take him to the toilet today. There's
really?
Headline in the news. Yeah, she had to hold his hand.
I had the privilege.
Yeah. Just thought we'd get that in there as well.
She never got up quick enough.
Yeah, she's never got up quick enough. So.
Right.
Right.
Moving
I mean, we got commented that if Barry answers the phone, I don't know what that relates to. Barry, do you not usually answer the phone?
I'm always on the phone, but unless it's drippy, and then I don't
Oh,
bother.
his number comes up.
Yeah,
He never answers the phone.
maybe you either, definitely not.
Right, we're up to date with the chat.
Okie doke. Right, Paul.
Yes.
So the other night you were sending me loads of little screenshots, sort of
Yeah.
films, to do with this AI technology.
I
Now,
was.
being a dinosaur that I am, I had no idea. I've heard about AI. I've seen lots of images on Facebook that, you know, sharks that are like the size of like the Empire State Building and things like that. But I've never really took much focus on this AI stuff.
Yeah.
And the other day, you was sending me all sorts of things like
I
all
was.
that. So maybe for some people out there, some of them are going to know, but I didn't
Yeah.
know. But maybe you can explain a bit.
So what we're going to do is I've got Chat GPT, and as you say, quite a few people will be familiar with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put Paul compared to AI. So if you want to ask some reefing questions, we'll take 3 questions, and we'll ask Paul, and then we'll ask Santa Claus or Father Christmas what he thinks about those questions. So to begin with, I'm just going to switch it on whilst I wait for your questions.
Right. Right. This is.
Hello there. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. So first of all, Father Christmas, can you tell me who Paul Hughes is of Advanced Aquarium Consultancy, please?
Oh, don't say that.
I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Unfortunately, I can't tell you who Paul Hughes is, but I'm always here to spread some holiday cheer.
It's funny.
Is there anything?
Earlier on, he actually told us who he was. So he's obviously having a bit of an off day.
Yeah, Father Christmas isn't.
Yeah, you're not in his good books,
I'm not
are
in
you?
his good, I can't be in his good books. No. All right then. Right. Let's try.
Is everything all right?
Yes, but you should be able to tell me who Paul Hughes is of Advanced Aquarium Consultancy.
My magic is all about bringing joy and holiday cheer, not finding specific people.
I think you're
Is
going to
there
win.
anything else I can help with?
Well, it's
Well,
funny.
that didn't go to plan.
No, that's not working at all.
Never
Paul,
worked
is
with
it?
technology.
Who is Angela Hughes of Advanced Aquarium Consultancy?
I'm here to spread joy and holiday cheer.
Stop doing it.
Is there something else you'd like to do?
Yes.
Yeah, he's had too many mince pies.
Right, let's try a different one. How do you control nitrates in a reef aquarium?
Controlling nitrates in a reef aquarium can be quite important. You can do it by regular water changes, using a good protein skimmer, and adding beneficial bacteria. Are you planning to set up a reef tank?
Yes, I am. How do you do that?
That's wonderful. To manage nitrates, start with regular water
This isn't really
changes,
working
about
out.
10 to 20% weekly.
It was
Use a
working.
protein skimmer
In
to
planning,
remove
folks, just
organic
to
waste.
this is
Live rock and sand can help too.
Technical.
And keep an eye on feeding levels. Don't overfeed.
Right, there's a question here, Paul.
Right.
How do I
What
get
would you like to know next?
a UV into a Max Nano?
Well, you would have to pump. You'd have to get a tiny little pump, something like an Eheim Compact or a J-Cod or a AI. Was it all Axis?
The axis, yeah.
Yeah, or a tiny pump that would fit in the back chamber, and then you would have to pump it out to a UV. So something like the Vecton, I think they do an 8-watt TMC, do a 8-watt Vecton or a 10-watt D&D, and then you would pump it back to it.
You can use a small pump like an Eheim Compact or J-Cod to fit in the back chamber of your Max Nano.
You just
Then,
repeated
He's recorded you, isn't he?
Snubbed you right off.
This is bullshit.
to keep your tank
There's a
healthy.
mark.
There's laid plans and
Yes.
all of that.
Yeah, yeah. So what was we going to say? So it was questions like, I think we got a question there, did we or not? I can't remember that. I think Paul wins the Paul versus.
I think he
oh,
does.
yeah, right. Well, in actual fact, so let me explain. When Paul did this earlier on, it was literally digging up detail that you couldn't possibly imagine, wasn't it, Paul?
It was. We'll try again in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see whether it might be something to do with Father Christmas and too many rums. But yeah, it was so interesting earlier on, wasn't it? Because every question we asked, it literally had an answer.
It was able to
Paul.
answer it.
So
Wasn't
let me pose
Go on,
a
you
question.
you get a question.
Right. So how do we do it?
I'll just talk to it.
Right. What is the #1 selling marine aquarium fish? I'm going to say chromis.
You just told him.
One of the most popular marine aquarium fish is indeed the green chromis. They're hardy and peaceful, making them a favourite.
I invented
Do
AI.
you
That's
have
the
a
difference. Right. We'll try it again.
Right. Try a question, but don't give the answer.
Can I make a recommendation quickly? Why don't you close the app down and reopen it?
That's a
Yeah,
good
it
point.
could be. It could be
It
that.
could be that it's just listening to our
We
conversation.
needed someone a little younger to help.
Yeah, we do. We
Sorry,
need,
guys.
we need some youth in the room, don't we? Right.
And then just ask it the question.
Good evening, Fanta. Are you there? Are you off the run?
Oh, good evening. Yes, I'm here. And I've just finished my cocoa. How can I help you this fine evening?
What is the most popular coral for a marine aquarium?
Take his time to think about that one.
Thinking that.
He's thinking.
Santa is typing.
A dead one.
I don't think this is going to work.
For some
It's
reason,
really backfired, isn't it?
It has.
it's pretty backfired. It's got
It knows.
shy.
It knows it's live.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh,
It might do.
Maybe we'll cancel it.
It's not going to answer.
It's not
Right,
really
we're not
happening.
going to bother.
Well,
with
that was rubbish, wasn't it, everyone? If you want to leave a comment about
If
that.
you want to do it,
1 star on TripAdvisor.
Yeah, one star.
if you want to give it a
TripAdvisor.
thumbs down, then more than happy for you to give a thumbs
Yeah,
down.
but when we tested it, Paul, it was amazing, wasn't it?
It was good.
Yeah, maybe
AI in the
AI in the biz. There we go. For 3.
There's hope.
Barry,
A job for a week or 2.
yeah.
Yeah, rubbish. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Carl, rubbish, isn't it?
I never worked with children animals or chat GPT.
Yeah,
There
that's true. Yeah,
we go. Brilliant.
yeah, exactly. And again,
Thumbs down. Thanks, Dean.
yeah, thanks, Dean. Yeah, that was rubbish, wasn't it? Well, in actual fact, though, when we tested it earlier on, it was
dear.
amazing because it does know exactly what the most popular selling marine fish is. And
Yeah.
it is chromis, by the way. And I would guess that the most popular selling coral is probably, we had a bit of a discussion about this. And you think at the moment with everything you see on Instagram, it would be something like torch. In actual fact, it works out it's something like tea, it's star polyps and
Strawberry shortcakes would be up there all the time.
cake.
So we're going to talk about that in terms of what's the most popular softie that you guys. So Barry,
Softie, I'm going GSP.
Yeah.
It's got to be GSP. Yes, I know Zoas can be popular as say predominantly. It's a great one for beginners. Everyone's great up the back wall at the moment. Also, yeah, very popular.
And do you know what? I actually think that it's still quite popular where people have kept marine corals for a long time, and because
particularly
it's one of those corals that that you've always got, and as long as you don't put it in the wrong spot,
particularly those keeping soft coral tanks.
Yeah,
it's got to be in there. It's
absolutely.
got to be.
I love it when it's on a bare bottom and then it's creeping along the
so
substrate.
it creates a bit like
Creates a carpet.
fresh,
It's amazing.
freshwater
Yeah.
tank. The
There is actually a tank on Instagram I've seen where all the sides, walls, and floor.
Yeah,
little tank.
You've seen that. That was amazing. So but I would say it's definitely that, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, and I think and it's funny because when I was talking to Theme Tidal Gardens, you'd imagine that he.
Come on.
But he said the same. For him,
Oh, mate.
he said, bastard.
No, mate.
You're bastard.
So who else is he going to mention? Oh, me and Jamie.
All right. Oh, bollocks, they're like it. Right. All right. No, well, I've lost it now. I've lost my mojo now. So,
Right.
Not doing it anymore.
Well, apparently, according to Fan Theme, what pays the mortgage is pulse coral and it's GSP. It's the same for him over there. So despite all those fancy corals, all of those top end and high end corals, it's still very much is dominated by Xenia and pulse coral.
And that's what you said, Barry. So we don't need Fan, do we? You said
Not
GSP.
at all. Yeah, we're fine over it. We know what we're talking about.
Moving on to LPS.
Yeah, LPS. So you asked for one. So difficult. Torches or gonnies at the moment for me. Absolutely. Probably torch. See, we're going to split. I think torch is probably still just about edging it at the minute, I would say. Again, so many variations available. Very, very popular currently. I think that
could be broad and say Euphilia in general, because hammers are probably up there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not as common as in the sailors at all. So, you know,
I think torches edge it.
Yeah, I think when the sails are on, then torch coral sails do go up, don't they? But of course, because they're quite expensive. But
some of the name
you know,
flavors.
for me, it's one of the most ever. But there you go. That's my opinion on it. But there's some nice hologram hammers going out for Christmas.
Nice plug coming now. Torches are overrated, but hammers are where it's at.
Shall we move to Boxing Day and then we'll come back to SPS and things
Well,
and
first
stuff
of
like
all, before we move to Boxing Day, should we mention about the staff party Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
Right, manager's prerogative.
PSA.
Barry,
I'm going to take the blame on this one. Right, so we're closing early on Saturday. That's the important message to come across. 4 o'clock, Saturday the 21st, so this Saturday coming, we will be closing the doors. If you're turning up for your 10 litres of RO or your food or anything else, come back and see me Sunday morning. You'll be able to give me some abuse then, because I will be
hanging,
struggling. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But very much looking forward to it. As always, our night out. And generally, I quite enjoy the Sunday afterwards as well, even though I'm hammered. Just getting caned by the customers. It's all good fun. It's time to have a go back.
Do you remember, Barry? Do you remember when we did Christmas do? I can't remember when it was, but it was a couple of 3 years ago. And then we got so drunk, and then on the Sunday morning we were on the first customer walked through the door and said, "This smells of wine."
Absolutely. I think that was the same day. I'd broken the reef rack before I'd even used it. I dropped a test kit. Not this year. I'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So if you've got any really, really problematic issues, by all means, call Barry.
I'll pass you on to Connor, Dylan, Cyrus.
We'll pass you on subsequently.
10:31 on the Sunday morning. Barry will be in full effect, ready to take all of
talk about the Redfield ratio.
We can discuss the Redfield ratio at 10:31 if you need him to. Yeah, so
I'm looking forward to it.
So that's the first thing. So to do with our Christmas thing, but coming up for Christmas overall, we've just to give people an idea, we've been really stocking like crazy.
Yes,
I'm in trouble with Ange for spending fortunes as usual. Yes, I think there's about 40 to 50,000 pounds worth of corals and fish and all of that that's gone in over the last couple of weeks. So they're all nicely rested for you. And just to let you know, I actually put a kibosh on any more corals or fish coming in, so everything will be really nicely well rested for you. There's also a lot of fish in quarantine at the moment, so if you can't make our Boxing Day or Christmas week, but you'd like to travel and come and see us, you're not gonna miss out. I always do this. People always worry there's 3 systems in here that no one has access to public wise, and there's another 4 systems next door that are all packed out. There's fish sitting in quarantine as we speak, so as well. So even if we get through with what we've got out in store, we'll be nicely topped up after Christmas. But it all kicks off on Boxing Day. Some of you no doubt have been to our sale. I won't be announcing discounts just yet, but it will be special this year. Particularly if you're into acros, or particularly if you're into Euphilia as well. We're going to probably do some super specials. One of which I know will be the first time I've ever done it. So there'll be some massive savings for your Christmas money. It'll give you a good opportunity, and that will run. Although it starts Boxing Day, that will run to December the 31st. So Well, we've extended it to give you
So,
more
so
of a
all of the
chance.
offers go from the 26th to the 31st.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I never come in Boxing Day, so I'll come in a couple of days later.
Yeah, and there'll be plenty. There's no reason to worry. I've got things hidden away everywhere. So
Yeah.
You won't
Alright.
miss out, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
so that is about livestock, isn't it?
That's
Usually,
not- there will be a few. There'll be a few in-store dry goods. In-store dry goods. Connor, you're going to be
Yeah.
Yes.
organising maybe a Christmas
Again,
discount
yet to
code
be
for some of the
confirmed.
online
Yes.
people as well. So,
We need to chat about that, but yes, there will be.
Yeah.
There'll be a Christmas discount. I don't know if it will run for the same length of time. It might just be for sort of Boxing Day and a couple of days afterwards. But yeah, there's stuff to cut.
be selected line. Some stuff we can, some stuff we can't.
Some we're not allowed to. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be.
So I think that sort of covers off Boxing Day and the Christmas stuff and,
Do you want to
what have
talk
you.
quickly just about the hours?
Hours. Yeah. So there's going to be some changes to hours. We decided it's starting from even this Monday. As some of you will know, AAC is closed on Mondays for maintenance and stuff, but we're ahead of the game. Most of the maintenance has been carried out, and most of the displays and are looking good and what have you. So this starting from this Monday, so December the 21st.
Yes, so it's if I can find it, it is this coming Monday, December the 23rd. Yes, it is right. We are going to be open this coming Monday, and then the Monday after, the 30th. Obviously, as Paul says, we are usually closed, but bear that in mind. These next 2 Mondays we are open. But although we're open extended sort of times and days, we are also on reduced hours on certain days. So things like Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, they are going to be shorter hours. They'll only be open, I think it's shorter hours, but we're open slightly earlier. So again, check all the Facebook, Instagram, Google hours. Make sure you got the hours right on a certain days you want to come down. Because we're open 10 till 2, I think, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
I've just done it. I don't know what it is now.
I think it's 10 till 2 Christmas Eve.
I caught you.
I'm just,
I don't know what time
10
it's
till
gotta
2.
be.
I will be here.
It doesn't. 10 till 2 Christmas Eve, 10 till 2 New Year's Eve, and 10:30 till 2 Boxing Day. So only 4 hours or so on those days, but the rest of the time we're pretty much open throughout. But just double check is all I would say.
I think if you are coming on Boxing Day, just remember we've got staff have given up their time to be here on a Boxing Day, but there's we have an element of patience because sometimes we've been overrun, haven't we? We've had we've had like 60 people to serve or 70 people in 4 hours. I mean, it don't matter how many staff I had, you'd still be waiting. So just come in with an element of patience if you could, because we always try our best to get through people quickly, but a little bit of patience appreciated.
Nice atmosphere. It should be good.
Yeah, it's usually a really, really good atmosphere. I usually buy some rubbish mince pies and
so one day of the year we often have a bit of Christmas music as well in the background.
So anything else, Barry, to add to that at all?
No, looking forward to seeing you all. To be perfectly honest, beyond that, it'll be crazy, I'm sure, but we're all looking forward to it. Please do come down, and we'll have a good time. We will.
Yeah,
Dave. See you there.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Yeah,
right. On the Boxing Day sort of days, we tend to not obviously really do testing and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah, we can't do testing or sort of things like RO water. It's a nuisance. So if you want RO water, come in the day after or stuff like that, because obviously that takes a member of staff out and people want to get served quick and what have you. So by all means, there's Lee France. He's back in the. Yeah, Lee France. So as I said, if we could be mindful of the fact that reverse osmosis was a no-go on Boxing Day and things like that, we can't test someone's aquarium and get through the number of people. But we will be there for you, obviously, just after, and we'll carry on with the usual sort of standard of service that you've all got used to.
Absolutely. So I've got a question, a couple of hellos. So first of all, Liam's asking about delivery sites. I know when I saw Liam down here last, he ended up going back on his bike, didn't he? And didn't he win some? He won
a bucket of salt.
Bucket of salt, yeah.
And he put it on his back and drove home. I don't know where is Liam. Whereabouts is he in the land? Where are you, Liam? Where are you?
It's up north.
It's up
so
north.
I think in north.
Anywhere north of.
I can't remember where Liam is. Around. No, I don't know where Doncaster. I'm not
Right,
too sure. Leeds, around that way.
Right, yeah.
So it's a bit of a trek for Liam.
Yeah. The delivery side, anyway, regarding the delivery side, well, people that are here tonight have seen coral systems and what have you that we're putting in now are starting to mature quite nicely, as long as I don't nuke them with loads of pH plus.
No more of that.
But they're starting to come together now. I dare say that Connor and myself will start working on populating the store, the online store ready.
Of course.
Initially, we will probably just start with a number of species just to see how they go. We might even do maybe on a strain pool. We might do something like 4 or 5 parcels free of charge, just as an experiment, as a control, just to see how you get on. Because I want to make sure this is absolutely spot on for you. I know people post corals. I've received them. You know, I've had boxes with little bits of screwed up newspaper in them with 500 quid's worth of frags in them, and thought, well, that's rubbish. It's 500 quid's worth of frags, you know. So I want to see a standard, that the same AAC standard applied to the online store. So I'm actually, the first thing I've got to do after Christmas is I'm going to be looking into more recyclable packaging, because polyboxes, folks, they've got to go at some stage. There's just far too many. Give you an idea, polybox costs a £5, at least a £5. Some of them are a £10 as well. But there's also a storage issue with them. Anyone who posts out corals using poly will tell you they need, like I know Laura, for example, she has to buy it by the pallet, and it takes up enormous amounts of room. Well, that's okay for Laura, but not for AAC. There's not a speck of space, as you know, that's spare for that. So we're going to look into the idea of recyclable packaging. There's some folks I know in Germany that have been posting corals for quite some time. And I found out about a new medium that they're using, which is 100% recyclable. And they've been posting corals all across Germany. So we're going to be looking into a slightly greener approach to getting corals. But hopefully, we obviously don't want to put any animals at risk. So that's where we're going to be looking. So there's quite a lot for us to do. As soon as we're the other side of Christmas, Connor and myself will start looking into the website and the descriptions and things like that. So, and then it will be packaging, and then I hope in spring that we will be, you know, I'm not saying what point in spring, but I hope in spring that we'll be going live. It could also be that in the future with as well that corals, for example, that are actually in the main store will start to get coded. And what that means is that, you know, although I've got a back room where there will be corals that I'll be WYSIWYGing and things like that, there might also be some of that WYSIWYG available in store, because we're going to have an issue whereby that it might well be that Barry puts a picture up, for argument's sake, on his usual Friday night post of a nice gonny that's in the shop, and then we might get, oh, well, is that not on the online store? So we might be able to just code them, and we might be able to do something direct off of a Facebook post as well. So there's a lot for us to learn with this. You know, there are others out there who've been doing it a lot longer than I've done.
But you do get, so even, you know, a lot of the big retail shops, they don't have all the stuff that's in store online. And I know sometimes they have on store only because they've got such a catalogue of different items like you have. So to get all those in on the store, it's not going to take some doing, let alone controlling the stock.
One of the
looking at Connor now.
It's doubtful initially that we will start with things like it's doubtful initially that we will start with things like my higher end SPS frames. But I know that's what some people.
So you're going to do some testers, maybe. I can think someone who started. You know, if you look at people in Scotland or maybe down in Cornwall, they've got to go 2-3 hours to a shop. They're starting out maybe a starter pack or something like that.
Yeah, there'll be some basics initially. Like I know people see like these odd frags that we put pictures up. Well, I have to say we're not going to discourage the idea of people actually coming to store and buying with their eyes, because the reality is that we've got regulars. We've got lots and lots of regulars, and those people are vital to our business, and then we're maintaining them. So there won't be as much available online as there will be if you get in the car and you come. I'm not going to do it, you know, but there will be specific, like selected species that we trial at first. There'll be selected shipments. I have done it where I have posted some high-end frags out, and they killed them by dipping them in Savlon within about a day of receiving them, which, you know, so there's going to have to be some sort of a lot of text involved, you know, that sort of thing. You know, I tried before to dip corals 2 days just to double check everything's safe for the consumer. But then the idea being that if you receive it and you just dip it and nuke it, and so there'll be certain species that I'll probably avoid posting initially, you know, just because I want everyone to have a really good experience.
And there's a comment here from at White Corals. Haven't used styrofoam boxes in years. If you want to know,
well, that is well, Corey. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm referencing to. So I believe that must be Corey. I'm sure it's Corey. Maybe you could put a comment in there. Well, it was actually Corey that and Steve Fox that told me about this, and I believe I know what medium it is that Corey's using.
There you go.
There's Corey Treadwell, I believe, that's that under that name.
Yeah.
Yes, Corey, it would be you that I would be contacting because it was someone that told me about how you do it. So exactly that.
Nice one.
Yeah.
It's male corals only or other livestock?
It will only be corals initially. I mean, it's possible that I might move into the world of posting out, believe it or not, seahorses, because they actually ship quite well because they don't do a lot in the bag.
Oh, really?
But but certainly wouldn't be looking to anything beyond like nano gobies and species like that, because I don't want to encourage the idea of posting sensitive species of fish through the post. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. This isn't America. We don't have all these connecting flights like they do. You know, in America, the airlines get into trouble if they don't meet their obligations. Over here, they don't care. So there's not that our courier network isn't up, as far as I'm concerned, anywhere near the capability to post.
They can just about send me dry goods.
They can just about send dry goods. So
just about send they're just about buckets of salt to you in one piece.
Yeah. And it's possible that the question to JB, that, you know, it's possible we'll do things like boxer shrimps and invertebrates and things like that. And, you know, but, you know, fish, no, I don't want to see a Moorish idol in a bag that gets stuck in the post. This is what's going to ruin this trade. Yeah. Yeah. And if you encourage this sort of business or trade, you imagine the wrong person receiving a half dead Moorish idol in a bag. It did actually happen. Through one network once, where a lady, it was in the news, received a box of 200 goldfish. And these are the sorts of things that we don't want out there. We don't want the public, the general public, you know, just it shouldn't be encouraged.
It's not good for the hobby, is it?
It's not good for the hobby. You know, there's none. I know some people can't travel. Yeah. But you know, even if it was a treat, and once every 3 or 4 months, if you don't have a car or something like that, you make. We've picked people up from the station before. We've took them back to the station personally. So, you know, we don't want to be encouraging the idea of marine fish in general going into a box just for APC to kick it around on the floor or DX. I mean, I had a DX delivery of brine shrimp once. I might as well just eat it with a mallet. You know,
I'm surprised you send salt through the post, because that must be like throwing the dice.
So the truth is, you know, it's a great point actually, Paul. The truth is, being straight with all of you, yes, we don't like doing it. We'd much prefer you to come to store and pick it up because it's getting your boot in one piece.
Yeah.
But obviously, if we didn't list it on the website, we wouldn't make the sales.
Yeah.
So it's the plain simple
out of necessity rather than choice.
There is there's another thing as well. You know, we don't want to be busy fools. You know, we don't. Truthfully, it's not us being big-headed, but Barry, I'm sure, will agree. We don't need to post corals, Barry, do we? Really?
No, we are.
It's just a demand.
Yeah,
it's just that we're getting we're listening to you, the customers. We're doing it for you. We're not doing it for us. We're not bothered. In fact, I could do without
ears, but we are listening.
Finally around.
I know some of it's a wind-up, but most of the time I see Facebook pages.
I know.
And you've got Lee on there, for example. Do you post? And he's down the road. But a lot of you see all the time. People say, "Do you post? Why don't you post?" Because there's a lot of people out there that
there was lots of genuine reasons for that, because people's view. So I can look at any photo whatsoever from any shop, hobbyist or whatever, and I know the coral I'm looking at, irrespective of whether it's been took under an orange lens with blue lights or whether it's been took under white lights. And I can see through those posts. You know, so it's, in other words, I don't mind. I'll get Indonesians sending me Jaffa shots, you know. So I can see that coral, know exactly what to expect when it comes out the bag and it's not under blue light or whatever. This is where it goes wrong. This is where hobbyists get, you know, particularly if they're new. Yeah, because they imagine receiving something that is a filter shot, and then they're being really disappointed, leaving you negative review. And that's why I always say, buy with your eyes. Go and visit the store. We'll always encourage the idea that you should be where you can, buying with your own eyes, and also there's less transport time, less stress on that animal. You know, sometimes I think people forget these are CITES Appendix 2 animals. They're delicate. It's not an hamster that you can breed 500 of a day. You know, so, you know, and some of these species are unique as well. So, you know, I had a situation where I did do a test of box of corals up to Hull. I sent the very best rainbow tenuis that I had at the time that I'd grown out for 6 months. It was dead within 2 days. So what I want to do, you know what I mean? Yeah. So as I said, we'll start off with a few species that I know that are really sort of hardy, that are appealing to all, appealing to different levels. We'll have a category for each level, if you like. You know, some of the more sensitive stuff, but not as much as perhaps we would do in store.
Yeah, I think also, I think you can buy corals from your store. You take them home, you put in your own tank, and they're going to look different anyway.
Absolutely.
Because the lighting, the water, the flow, everything is completely different.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll brown out and then they'll come back on.
Absolutely. I mean,
so that happens even when you're buying in store.
It happens to me when I'm buying from Indonesia. Can you imagine? You know, so I look at a coral that I might see on a WYSIWYG list out in Indonesia, and it looks like it does, and then the next minute I've received it and it will be grey for a month. You know, so you know, it takes time to recover.
They get stressed, don't they? They get stressed, and they, you know, if they don't bow, they quite often.
So it really is I've just we're going down this road predominantly because we do have a customer base that stretches across the country. It would be nice to service some of those customers if they want us to service them. But as I said, there's no real desperation from our point of view. You know, it's got to be done right, basically.
For sure. Right, I've got some questions or some comments in here. Adam, happy to help with testing and posting.
I'm sure there'll be
Hiya, Jay. Good to see you in the chat. I need a new tuxedo urchin, Paul. Mine passed away 2 years ago. 2 years and 3 months gutted. He was my best worker in the tank.
So that's the sort of species that I would post without any consideration, because as long as you handle them right at the other end, and that's where I say a lot of the work's going to come in on how to handle your.
So are you gonna put guides in depending on the species of coral to say, because you know we've talked this before about dipping. You wouldn't use a certain dip with certain corals. They might be too harsh, and you might use a potassium based one with a Doniapora or whatever it is. So would you put that kind of thing in? Because I mean, I don't dip chalice. So if I dip a chalice in the stuff I use, the colour just goes. And if it's a rainbow chalice, I ain't going anywhere near it. But I'm sure if I use a potassium,
well, funny enough,
would that be okay
funny enough, certain species, even with potassium chloride's a problem. So, for example, jack-o'-lantern, which everyone knows is a great species. When we bring it in from the farm, everything is always dipped before it enters the store. And when Dan or whoever's dipped jack-o'-lanterns, it brings them in, they're completely washed out. They're done. Forever. It takes about
they lose their colour.
Straight away.
Lose their colour
absolutely. And there was some leptostria, I think it was, that Dan brought in yesterday after a dip, and it looked like it had partially bleached. So you do have to be careful with certain dips with certain species, but I think the majority of the information will have to be drawn into the description on the website. So whilst we might put a basic leaflet in on the basics of handling corals and what you should do in general, I think we'll try and include as much information as we can on the website itself. So of course, if you're buying off the website, you should have some idea. But I think initially there'll be a lot of personal service involved, because according to things like posting, I would sooner have a 5-minute conversation with a customer that's bought their first few corals from us online on the phone. So I might well do a bit of phone work initially, just to make sure they know what they're doing when they receive them. And if they answer the phone, go, I know what I'm doing, mate, don't worry about it. Fine, I'll put the phone down. But if people need help, I think I'm going to be involved with personal service, helping them. I want to make sure it's successful. That's the number one thing for us. That's why we've refused to do it for this long. We don't want mistakes. Me and Barry are very critical. We don't want to see that. You know,
we put too much effort into it.
We put too much effort into our animals as it is. Why do I want to stand for the post and then kill them? You know, so they've got to be received appropriately as well. And I know some people out there have got this mindset. I use Savlon. Well, I don't. Why use Savlon? Potassium chloride's a lot cheaper anyway. Why use Savlon? You know, so there's a lot of worry about how people will handle those corals when they receive them. But you know, we'll see how it goes.
So much better to buy corals in person.
Agreed.
Absolutely. There we go. We ship a lot of fish, but I agree 100% that if it's not necessary, I would avoid it.
It must be Corey, that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'd rather wait and pop in every few months to the shop.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Look, let's go round. There you go. 6-hour round trip for me, unfortunately. I'd love to just nip down. Should open a northern branch.
One of many requests.
Well,
over the years.
that's been mentioned a lot of times.
Yeah.
And in fact, it wasn't that long ago that Angela and I took a trip up north to sort of see what we felt about it. But I don't, and I very nearly did get involved with something up north a while ago. But I've had so much going on with a new part, and then there was coral freaks and stuff like that. I'm not saying that I'm going to in the near future, but there's something that I've always considered, the idea, because
you spend all your time in the motorway, because as soon as there's a problem, you'll be in the car, you'll be out there, because you like to be hands-on. It's not a criticism, but an observation. You'd be bang, and if you had to go, what service station you at? Andrew would be asking, and then you'd be turning around. Just an observation.
I've tried it before between 2 stores locally, one in Nazing, and then when
many years ago,
and then also one that's near Harlow, and we had 2 stores, and that was a problem. You have to break.
And that was local. That's like 150 miles. I'm looking at Angela when I say that.
I rather like.
I think the boys might be relieved.
Yeah.
Well, I think. I think. But I think as they get older, as they get older, me and Ange, we might like the idea of being up north.
Okay.
I like gravy on my chips, so I'll fit in straight away. So we'll see.
I'm just looking at Ange to get a reaction if she wants to do it or not. There's another one here. We do a daylight and a heavy filter shot at every call to avoid the disappointment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Something we did when we were WYSIWYGing throughout COVID.
White. We got blue shot.
We did that. Yeah,
that went really well actually.
Yeah.
Really like
I think you need to. If you don't, people will say,
like
"Can you take it under some solar?" So you'll get the request anyway.
That's probably one of the things that Dad and I will implement on the website when we do the photos. It'll be high quality photos probably, so it's not people really see what they're getting. And daylight and blue photos, because as Barry says, they went down so well during COVID, and that was kind of a stepping stone into the online world. Although we weren't sending anything out, it was that element of digital, seeing a product and then going and buying. And it went. People really appreciated it because they got to see what it's going to look like in the tank and what it's going to look like under their blue lights.
And also, quite a few calls I think look better under white. Anything that's purple.
Very
or
true.
Blue or something like that. It's totally
all the time.
It's pointless in a blue tank. And that sounds obvious. A blue coral or something like Velida or those kind of acros.
Sam being a softy face.
But let's remember when we was in COVID, we had a shut shop.
Yes, no, absolutely.
We had time to do that.
True.
And this is what I'm saying. It really depends on how successful it is as to how much time I invest into the idea of doing this. So I'll name drop Fantine again. but Tidal Gardens website, if you've ever been on Tidal Gardens website, what I really love is the way that he's got a film and a slider, but Fan is like the consummate professional at this, so I heard that.
So the slider in store. So I was going to say, I think it's White Corals, where you've seen them. They've got the tank set up and they've got the camera on a slide. And they move it along to take the down shot, so it doesn't shake.
He showed us a video. Really impressive.
I must say though, obviously ordering online, it comes with its own responsibility and also having to do your own research. Because ordering online is such a treat on its own. It's all good. I was helping out, but it's not like coming in store to see something. So you almost got to know what you're going to buy before you're done.
I mean, fortunately, most people, hopefully, that we serve will know exactly what they're doing. We haven't got to worry, but there's always the chance that we could.
What
an half Barry!
That's it, we're done, mate.
But how many people see something in store and just buy an impulse? And you probably do that on. Oh, I like that. And then we'll go and buy it. So I suspect we'll do that. But looking at Tidal Gardens, what I love about their video when they do specific videos, whether it be about some other things on the site, a lot of information about a particular and you've got on there about flow. It's difficult when you say, well, medium flow, high low. What does that mean? That's hard to actually say.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it'll be really good initially, particularly till you build up a customer base, that they can feel like, well, I'm going to give I have a phone call with them.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that you know, that's what I would do in store anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, it doesn't matter whether they're buying a £15 frag or whether they're buying a £500 chalice coral or something. You know, we would spend the same amount of time and Barry certainly does, you know, with whoever, and particularly with beginners, we want them to have a really good experience and stuff. So, you know, I think that the personal service is what we're going to try and bring to this online selling. That's going to be, I mean, we'll have to see how it goes. I might need a pair of hands with that, as you can imagine. But, but it's going to be,
it's
I think,
investment up front, isn't it, as well, to do all the photos. Once it's on there, I'm not saying it's easy, but you can update it, can't you?
Yeah, and I think the majority of what we're going to do is just WYSIWYG, because there's no point doing like Monty Pora Digitata frag, you know, because, you know, it can be disappointing if you don't get what you think is in your imagination, you know. So it might be that you're imagining a frag, say 3 or 4 inch, but it's actually a 2 inch. So I don't want any level of disappointment. I think WYSIWYG only is what you see is what you get, what's important.
But what's interesting, when Barry serves and there's, you've got a row of coals and say which one you want, I said, because when it goes in 6 months later, it should look a lot anyway. If it grows out, and whatever shape you get, it will change. Fine, anyway.
And then followed by green.
So the name of that shop, White Coals, is that
I should start it up.
Yeah, you should start you.
Or we've got the next employee.
Like real white Christmas.
Brilliant. Right, I'm going to go through some comments because we've
we've overrun.
There's quite a few on that, but that's fine. Got some sent down from Scotland a few months ago. They're taking Pat and Trina's advice for package, and they're doing amazing.
Excellent.
What about sending out a small sample of your recommended dip with the coals?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is that doable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would help, wouldn't it? Because it's one thing you haven't got to think about. Because if you're thinking about, I use Coral RX, and that may not be. It's a great dip, but may not be suitable for something else. You think if they can't get into the store, then what's the odds they can't get to a store for a dipping? And you've got to do it, haven't you?
Very good point.
Yeah. What's this QR code inside the box to an acclimation guide video? You do some videos. I know you don't really want to do that, but a whole library of videos. Paul?
It sounds amazing if we are time, but it should be.
Dylan can do it.
Yeah, hope we'll make it me.
What with his unprofessional advice?
Yeah.
You can write the script, and Dylan can talk to them.
You can be the hand.
I'll do the heavy lifting while he's sitting back.
Jay's asking why I haven't got a hat. I've got a jumper on, Jay. I can't have a big jumper on and a hat.
Paul's properly dedicated.
Yeah, I got my carrot on.
Pleased to see me.
Just for Barry.
Someone's got to say it. You know me.
Oh dear. There we go. Yes, a northern branch would be a good idea. Flying to Manchester out of Stansted.
Yeah, true.
With his private jet.
Oh,
They've got a private terminal there, haven't they? I don't know.
I'll use my helicopter, Paul, shall I?
Yeah. Very economical.
Yeah.
Hour and a half each way now for my OFS. Used to be 20 minutes, and there's so many people that are in that situation.
We're hearing more and more from customers.
Yeah.
Actually.
You know, what's that? 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours round trip.
I think about being there.
I think
over weekend hear that a lot.
Yeah, I think the problem is as well, isn't it? Our road network's rubbish, and as well as our courier network, as well as our trains, and as well as everything. It's especially in the south.
The irony.
Especially, of course, in around this area.
The
For example,
M25
I mean, it took you an hour and a half to come. 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away.
To get home the other day. Yeah.
I know.
I know. What's it's another sales idea. I wish more would do a colony shot of said frag so we can see what its growth structure could look like if I keep it alive for long enough.
Yeah, well, that depends. Of course, there will always be. So we can answer Liam on that one. So there will always be true aquaculture right? So that's pieces that we are growing and taking small fragments from a colony that we've had for a very long time. Yeah. And then there is fragged corals, and some people, refer to that as like chop shop. It's not necessarily. It depends how you handle those corals. So as long as they've got growth, you can see that there's growth on them, and they're not just like pizza cuttings from a block or something. Then now there's a very different price strategy there with that. So if it is a fragged coral, obviously the cost is less to the consumer.
Yeah.
But if it is an aquaculture specimen, I've had people before moan about the pricing, for example, on certain other person's SPS frags, for example. And I say, well, he's actually keeping the colony alive and he's growing and taking small pieces from it. So what's that?
You guys can record the #1 song in it.
Yeah.
You look the part.
So there will be a difference in price structure, definitely from aquaculture to fragged corals as such. Yeah.
We do anywhere between 600 and 1200. What you see is what you get. So streaming the process is
well, Corey, then I think you should get back on that plane and come over and see me again. I might have a job in the UK for
Tidal Garden Starship on your YouTube. You can have the hammer. 1 for 5, anyone for 10.
Well, Jay can come down too, so that's cool. Jay, that
sounds like they're offering.
Yeah, it sounds like they're offering. Yeah.
Host Jay, it's a long time on the stream. Great idea. What's it? So get some more data. I tell you all the bits I did wrong, so yours is better. Not too sure what that relates to. Right, we're up to date with that. Yes, Stansted has the City Airport.
Oh yeah, City Airport. Yeah,
London, absolutely. Yeah. Right, so I'm just going to go through, see if I've missed anything. Well, so coming back to best-selling corals, SPS. What's the most popular SPS, Barry?
Oh, there's two. So for beginners, I would say you're probably looking, or for those early in their SPS stages, it's got to be a forest fire. Everybody loves one, myself included.
I still like them now.
Yeah, grows really well, great coloration, nice bit of red in the tank. It's got to be that one for the early days. And then, as I mentioned earlier, strawberry shortcake thereafter. It's one of them,
The name itself is cool.
Absolutely loved and adored by everybody. Again, looks great under white light, great under blue light. What's not to love? Apart from the fact it's a bit of a slow grower.
Are they hard to look after nowadays?
Shortcakes, relatively. Yeah, absolutely. Still, it is still one of the... They're up there for me. Not impossible by any means. Lots of light and lots of flow. And, of course, the key stable parameters. Forest fire, very easy in my opinion. As far as SPS go, absolutely.
Absolutely. Right, moving on to fish. What is the most popular fish that you sell?
Chromis, certainly, Chromis said earlier. No, it would be up there, Chromis.
Clowns, common clowns.
Yeah, that's right.
I think our store is mainly, it's a wrasse species we're known for, though, isn't it?
Historically, yes, Paul's right. It is wrasse that we're known for. Paul, he loves the wrasse itself. But I would say, in terms of average sales week on week, we see a lot of baslets, raw grammars. That's a very popular one. Dotty back, Banggai Cardinals. Cardinals are a great shout.
McCosker's Flasher, another very popular. We're doing a top 10 all of a sudden.
It's one per person.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? It's probably Clown's Edge. Just about. Yeah.
Orange spot goby's got to be close.
Orange spot goby's another great shout though, as a contender.
Top 20 now.
Yeah.
Keep that in there.
You understand the rules.
Yeah, they're all close.
And what is the one fish you discourage most people from buying?
Yeah.
Copper band sand.
Yeah, I've never had one, so
It's terrible. Yeah, I mean,
General Moorish idols for reef tanks.
Yeah.
They still, people still give it a go.
I think, although it's probably not discouraging as such, but tangs we often have to
powder blues.
Be careful on, especially Acanthurus, the genus.
So why tang? Is it size of tank?
Well, it's more
generally speaking tank size. Yeah,
tank size, but with also things like powder blues, Achilles, gold rims. They're notorious for bite spot and it feeding as well.
They're,
Make sure
they're
they're feeding really
notorious
well.
for picking it up.
Picking it up,
They don't
sorry,
have it,
yeah,
but they're
yeah,
notorious for picking it up.
So what, they go into the tank
Yeah, they've
clean,
yeah.
but whilst they're in there, they
Right,
pick it up.
Let me paint you a scenario, right? No powder blues land on our runway at Heathrow with white spot. I've never seen one in all of my history. What people always go, powder blue, white spot magnet. Well, yes, they are a magnet for white spot, but they don't bring it in unless they've been subjected to it from where we're mixing species from all around the world.
Yeah,
I can tell you that in certain locations you find certain parasites. So, for example, barley in Indonesia is prone to flukes, right? Skin flukes and eye flukes and things like that. You know, you go somewhere else in the world, like the Caribbean, and they're notorious for not handling fish well, so they'll bring in a lot of lymphocystitis into the air. Once we start mixing all these fish from around the world, then they're more prone to it.
you're not used to that, aren't
Yeah,
you?
so it's about immune systems and what that immune system used to. But let me paint you a scenario. So let's just say everyone started shopping online there was no more stores at all, and it was only online. How many people quarantine their cleanup crew?
Exactly that.
How many quarantine their fish?
Well, irrespective of that, how many people quarantine it? Most people look for cleanup crew for the cheapest they can get them. They're not thinking about the fact that they can't see the tank that they're buying their cleanup crew from that might have a spotty powder blue floating around in it. You then buy the cleanup crew, you put it in your tank, then you pop down your local LFS because you fancy an Achilles. You put an Achilles in your tank, next minute it's got a spot, but it's the guy who sold you the fish's fault. Not the fact that you didn't do anything with your cleanup crew or your corals. You know, I try and encourage customers to toothbrush turbo snails even. So if you're not going to quarantine, this is where the world of online livestock shopping starts to fall down. That's why I always like the idea of customers coming to store.
Yeah.
They can get a good idea of whether the animals are in good condition and whether they're you know, always make the point of to customers, do you see me change my fish in my coral tables? No. Unless they've been gone under 4 to 6 weeks, at least copper treatment before they're ever added. And we don't have a change of fish. So that's my big fear again. The idea that you post something and you know, the idea of marine fish being in circulation within the post, you couldn't see how the animal was swimming before you bought it.
Yeah.
You couldn't see whether it was feeding or not. You know, we really, you know, and I always think to myself, why is it people are really prepared to drive to the other side of the country to buy a puppy, which are bred by the trillion, but you're not prepared to drive to buy an Achilles tang, which is like a jewel from the wild.
And an Achilles tang wouldn't be much different price to a dog.
No,
a puppy.
Exactly. So I said there's a bit of a strange mentality with marine. You know, you do it for a hamster even. I mentioned hamsters again, or a rabbit.
Yeah.
You know, but you wouldn't put a rabbit in the post.
Reptiles,
But you know, we wouldn't put a rabbit in the post, would you? No. But yet they breed like rabbits. Yeah. So as I said, it's just all a bit strange to me, really. But as I said, corals I can understand, invertebrates I can understand, but you know, the idea of posting marine fish around the UK, I'm afraid our country's not really that particularly geared up for it, I think.
Okay, thank you. Right, my last question for Barry. What is the number one issue that people come in store for advice?
Okay. Number one, it's got to be an algae of some description. It's a toss-up between cyano and hair algae, I would say. It's a real close battle between them. Generally speaking, often, actually, if they're coming in store and asking about, I would say it's a relatively new keeper, relatively new tank.
Yeah.
And it's a case of keeping an eye on your nutrients, keeping on top of things and allowing it to settle out. Sometimes it is, you know, maybe someone like yourself who's been keeping for years and all of a sudden it's burst out of nowhere. In fact, we did have a conversation with someone today in store who's had his nano running a long time and things have regressed a little bit. So we've given him a few plans, but it's got to be between them two, I would say.
Yeah.
Cyanobacteria or green hair algae.
So what's the advice on cyano?
Oh, don't worry about it. It'll go. No.
Burn himself out.
Time for a new tank. Yeah, it's only a nano. Don't worry about it.
Get a big one. This tank over here.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the first thing we'll do is obviously some nutrient testing. I love it when customers have done their own testing. Sadly, not everybody does.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to assist with that tank when there's not a picture of test results. That's what really helps me. It's particularly these guys who have been running the tank for a long time. You know, they come in, got algae. Have you been testing? Yeah. Have you been keeping your results? Yes. You can see the change in the trend in it, maybe. Might not necessarily be excessive nutrients. It could just be them falling out of balance, etc. And it's about trying to bring them balances back. And that could be by increasing or lowering either or nitrate or phosphate and moving on from there. Hair algae, I hate to say, you know, again, early doors, it can be one of them that comes along, particularly from new rocks and stuff. And again, a decent set of cleanup group. Keeping on top of your nutrients, obviously. Manual removal, potentially. They tend to be the ways forward. If it's later on down the line, then it can be a little more complicated. Sometimes we resort to DOC, to ICP testing, obviously, organics and stuff, and we can picture from there.
Yep. Right. I've got this comment. No, I've got that one. This one. I'll come back to you in a minute, Jay. Do you have many customers come in store with ICPs and asking for your help?
Yes.
Understanding the text result, because you get a whole list of what.
Absolutely. And a lot of missed help on there already. To be honest, via the tabs, you know, there'll be of number one, how you can, but number two, what may have caused the use as well. It's a big help if you go through them as well. But yeah, we see it all the time from all the different manufacturers now. We get some just send me their login. Yeah, have a look at that for me. Some just send me their login.
That's his password for everything.
I've been into everything as well. Trust us, never again.
We both have.
We've had paper-based in store. You know, I get phone shoved in my hands, all sorts. Absolutely, more than willing to help out. You know, they're such a fantastic tool. Crazy not to use them these days. I know that there is probably, I know he's working tonight. That'll give a few of you a clue. Complaining to me about his pinks not being pink enough, and when I suggest maybe an ICP test to check some of his elements. No, can't do that. It's only a nano. It's not worth it. Now, an ICP is going to test what an ICP tests, whether we're testing 75 litres or 750 litres. I'll talk to him again later. I'll probably throw him under a bus on here later as well. Tell everybody who it is if you haven't guessed already. It is a really fantastic tool. Been available to us now for 10 years, probably a bit more than that in different guises. Lots of different brands these days. There's some brilliant results from them and some great guidance. Often we do them on all of our systems. We probably do once a month, I would suggest. It may not always be about correcting, following the results on there, but certainly, again, we can plot trends from them and address anything that needs it ASAP.
There was something with Sam actually. So Sam, even on your soft coral aquarium, I suggested that you done an ICP on yours. What was that? What was that again? I can't remember.
Because the green Kenya tree just wasn't behaving well. Yeah, it's quite
needed Viagra.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was it? What did we find?
It was low in the strontium as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you found strontium, and once you made a corrective change on strontium,
absolutely fine. Just through water changes as well. To be fair, just doing regular water changes help that instead of dosing.
Yeah, because I sort of think to myself, it doesn't matter what the animals are that you're keeping. If for 25 quid these days, you can find out such a big story about your aquarium, and it doesn't matter whether it's a nano or whether it's, you know, some of these animals, whereas we're spending a lot of money on animals, and 25 quid, a bit like Dave's Neptune Apex insurance policy, and ICP is a little bit like another sort of level of insurance. It tells so much from that. I mean, I've learned that with some of my systems around the store that manganese is nigh on impossible to maintain. As quick as it's gone in, it's as quick as it's quick as it's that's it. You find that too, Dave, as well?
All the time.
Yeah. How often would you say that your ICP in your system? How often? Every couple of 3 months?
Probably every 3 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
Bring it in, give it about.
Yeah.
He gives me some bottles, I'll give him some money.
The wrong bottles, you haven't seen me, I'll give you the right one.
I just like seeing you.
So I suppose like that works out. If you was doing it every 3 months, that would be what, about £8 a month, wouldn't it? Really?
I think it's worth its weight in gold in the long run.
Yeah.
Just even with having problems, coral loss.
Yeah.
You know, you think you buy a coral, spend 100 quid on a coral.
Yeah.
You lose that coral from something that would have been picked up on an ICP.
No
It's
brainer.
only 20 quid. It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
I think the experience I've had with the alkalinity and how that was not working, I sent off an ICP to find out what it was, and then I asked them to retest it just in case.
Yeah.
I think every quarter, because we do rely on the test kits, don't we? And who knows if it goes off. Most of the time it's all right. In 10 years it's the first time it's happened, but ICP is just that bit of insurance, along with the Apex. I mean, the Apex has saved my tank God knows how many times over the years when I've forgotten to do something, and you get an alert and you realise, I didn't turn that back on. Especially with heat.
Heaters,
It's the heat of valves.
I actually don't think, I mean, I don't know if Dave's the same and Sam's the same here and whatever. So to give you an idea, like we said, we're doing, what do you reckon, Connor, about 10 ICPs?
So across, just got to think now, Matt, across both the new farm where we are currently,
9.
and Unit 4, it is 9 or maybe give or take. Occasionally throw in a rough one to catch him out. It might be just an occasionally or something just to keep toes. But it's about 10 and it is at the minute, it is, especially leading up to Christmas. Paul and I have been on it and with the chemistry.
I suppose because as you got more and more calls going in and out,
this is it.
That can't help.
The water,
But the point I was making,
the
point I was making is since the advent of ICP, I've probably used less salt because I'm not water changing all the time. Right, so I still do water changes and still advocate water changes. But for example, the display aquarium in the main store, I'm probably now doing far less water changes than I ever did. So although the ICPs cost quite a lot of money for us to do, for that number of ICPs a month, retail value, that's 250 quid a month or something. But the reality is I'm probably not using around about, in retail value, I would guess I was getting through a bucket of salt a month, for example. When I did 600 litres, I suppose I was doing it every 2 weeks, 200 or 300 litres or so. So probably around about 80% of a bucket of salt I would use on the display tank a month. So whereas in here, for example, I am doing quite a lot of water changes all the time on the seahorses, but I kept noticing a lot of brown diatoms as we were commissioning the system. It turned out because of all the Cyperax I was using, I was getting a very high silica. And I think that's the other thing. I think where the ICP really helps is that it will spot things like a failing RO unit, where your TDS meter won't, because it won't spot the silicate that's slipping through, or it won't spot, those things. So I think they're not as expensive as it sounds, an ICP at times. I think some people think that, they're, as Barry was saying, but I think soft corals and any sort of animal, it's worth doing. I really do. I
think especially for especially nowadays where 95% of us are busy working at least 5 to 6 days a week on average. Not everyone, especially in Britain as well, where we only in the winter months we've got 6 hours of daylight these days. It helps to advocate keeping an eye on your tank's chemistry, even if you haven't necessarily got the time to do your testing. Someone like Dave, I know, who's pretty advocative of his testing on his aquarium. We have Barry, myself, and Dave. We have regular chats about water chemistry, manual testing. Paul's the same as well. But it really encourages, I think, an ICP for people to keep an eye on their water chemistry, whilst at the same time not having to worry so much about getting the test kits out every few days, which I know, it takes up half hour of your time. And if you come in at 6, 7 o'clock in the evening after a hard day's work, you don't want to be spending half hour at the fish tank,
or have the light level.
Exactly, that's the other thing.
You have to do it during the day. I always have to go into the garden.
First thing in the morning,
the lights on, it bounces off and you're trying to read something that's supposed to go from blue to yellow or whatever. It's really hard.
That one or that one?
That's why I was doing it on a Sunday morning. When you go out the garden, absolutely.
Totally different result.
At night, you just
dark.
So do you test, if you can, the same time? I always do Sunday morning between about 7:30 and 9:30, and I do it that time every week.
What were you going to say?
I do Sunday morning.
For us, we test at the same time every day. But
I try to, but it don't always work like that. I mean, obviously the Apex is doing the water and they're bang on the same times, which as you say, you can see a better trend that way. It's always better to, but life gets in the way, doesn't it, sometimes?
But the other thing to remember as well is that, of course, when you're particularly men of a certain age, our eyesight starts to fall away. And reading phosphate test results, particularly with shades of blue, you know, Larry, put your glasses on.
Yeah,
if you put your glasses on, you would have been all right.
See everything now.
Yeah.
Vision. He looks apart.
That's enough of them.
Right, Paulie.
Yes.
What are we going to do about this? Should we have a go at this?
I just got a few more comments, if that's all right, and then we'll do the wheel of misfortune. Because we're nearly at the end.
The wheel of misfortune.
Well, it is because I have to type it all in, and that can be a misfortune. If I miss someone's name, it's not won't be the first time I mess it up. Right, there we go. Where are we up to that? Filtration. I think filtration is too good nowadays. Nutrients crashing new tanks. We're talking about that earlier.
weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
Is there such thing as an old tank syndrome?
I believe that there certainly was in my day, but now we can attribute that to the fact that it was probably iodine levels dropping out and manganese levels dropping out, and of course now with, I would say yes, yesteryear, no, modern reef keeper today. That's how I think it's changed, because old tank syndrome comes from my sort of generation with reef keeping, whereby that we had tanks, and what would happen is the old adage would be, well, I don't know why, but these corals now well in my system and all that. So it was no doubt trace element deficiency. But again, that's where the ICP is coming. So for today's modern reef keeper, no, I don't think there is such a thing as old tank syndrome like there was.
That's why I like all for reef.
Yeah.
In a smaller tank, because you've got all the elements with it as well.
Yeah.
I know others do that as well. Red Sea with their 4 part, they do. Mine, I'm sure there's others as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
What's this about? For convenience, I've signed up to regular natural seawater delivery for water changes. Any advice on his opinions on it?
Right. Well, I would say that natural seawater was great. I've used it here and there, but always remember that seawater is going to come flat to you. And what I mean by flat is that if you measure the DKH on it, it should be bang on 7. It should be a DKH of 7. But don't be fooled by the idea that all of this free bacteria you get, because if you're collecting natural seawater in the northern hemisphere, all of that plankton will die the minute it reaches 25 degrees C. Yeah. So there'll certainly a large majority of the microorganisms. If we were able to collect seawater from Indonesia, for our modern reef heated aquariums, then that'd be very different. So, don't believe that, the idea of natural seawater is good, particularly if you don't want to shock or disturb the balance at all. But they do filter it. I know that Natural Seawater Company filter it. So you've lost a lot of that sort of free swimming bacteria and things like that, and in plankton and God knows what else. So, and if it was completely live natural seawater, you could even encourage some things that you don't want in it. So things like, could be jellyfish larvae and stuff like that in there. So if it did live, we could be in serious trouble. And also, let's not forget where fish diseases come from. They're not invented in captivity. So unless it's sterilised, there are some public aquariums, and I think it was the Monaco Public Aquarium, they use natural seawater, but everything is sterilised before it's used. So this bag, I'm for synthetic generally. I use a synthetic salt. I think pretty much every bucket of salt on the market is pretty good these days, just varying whatever chemistry. I've recently been using a little bit of love my Red Sea Blue bucket. I think that's the that's the most popular. The Red Sea Blue bucket, because that is as close to natural seawater as I've ever found. The other salt I really quite like, which I've been experimenting on the seahorses, particularly in this new building here. I've been testing now for around about 6 months. The new Nile salt. Their mix is very clear.
I've heard good things about it. A lot more people use it now.
What's the alk level on that one?
The alkalinity level is slightly elevated above natural seawater. It's a DKH of about 8.2, 8.3.
That's similar to blue bucket, isn't that?
Well, it is. Well, no, that depends on the salinity. So you see, I still mix to 1.025 SG, 34 pp, which means that on a blue bucket, that's more like 7.4, which is close to natural seawater.
Oh, really?
If you're at 1.026, yes, it will be 8 DKH. Yeah. You've got to remember that all of these values they quote on the bucket are at full strength.
Right.
Yeah. So it just depends where you are. I still prefer the idea of 1.025.
So do I. That's what I go to. Yeah. Great. Right, I use National Seawater. Love it. Spurs on a roll on like West Ham. Thank you for that, Jay.
All right, it's Jay a bit further up. Spurs are 1-0 up. Thank you, pal.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
Go on the Spurs.
Right, let's go down. What we got? Well, I'm just going through because we've got to do the wheel in a minute. So apologies if I miss your comments or questions. What's this? Who's the best to use ICP, please? I was Triton for years, gone to Fauna, but think going back to Triton, false. Is this a tough one to
So, no, I
answer?
was going to say,
Commercially, it would sound like it's a tough one, but I'll say this just like I said for Salt. They're all good.
Yeah.
Within reason, they're all good. They do have their own little way of doing things. So, you know, I always have to explain to customers, remember that an ICP can only ever measure elements. So if you're getting an ICP with a DKH result on it, or if you're getting an ICP with a phosphate result on it, both of those are literally someone testing or guesstimating that for you. So in other words, you know, they can't measure phosphate, but it can measure phosphorus. And from that, one company, which actually makes a conservative opinion based on the phosphate, right? Whereas another company must be sitting there with a test kit to work it out. So I think that the phosphate test kits that a lot of us use are only measuring organically available phosphate. But, you know, so don't always, so, you know, all ICs I've found to be pretty good. I would say the ones to go for are the ones with the fastest turnaround, personally. And as I said, that's for you, the consumer, to make that decision. But they all offer, in my very balanced. I'm trying to be like a politician.
You are. You're doing a good job, actually. Which is unusual, but you're doing a good job.
But ultimately, I think that it doesn't matter what. I mean, I've got customers that buy it, for example, the Ford Marion one. They love that.
Yeah.
I've got customers that buy the Elements one. They prefer that for its speedy turnaround.
I use Elements because of the speed.
Triton, of course, is the historic one to use.
Yeah.
There isn't really a bad ICP out there, really. You know, is the truth bit.
Yeah.
It's whatever system you're into.
Yeah.
You know.
Where was the one? Let's sit down.
Yeah. And you tried them where you can do the RO water sample as well.
The Elements.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I did that.
That's quite a good little.
Yeah, so I did it earlier this week. I got silicates, which I know because the TDS going into mine's 300. So it's going to have other stuff. So silicates get through. And for the first time, I've had phosphates come through, which is 0.03. So I changed one of my membrane. I need another membrane.
Remind me at home. I need to get Paul another membrane.
No, because you only had one in stock last time.
I did, yeah.
And you gave me another one. So I suspect it's that. I might be wrong. And there's a question here about the new Trident MP sets. Have you set one up in store yet?
No.
So no, it's the short answer. We haven't yet.
Right.
People
bought them all.
Yes, so we to tell the full story.
My
Give some
wife
context.
Yeah.
Sorry, Donna.
We initially got 10 in, and they stalled in an instant, as you can imagine. Dad didn't get a look in. Paul didn't get a look in once. And we've now got a fresh batch in. Thanks very much to Exodus for getting us the stock nice and quick. And they are now available in the store. So we're hoping probably after Christmas in the new year. I'm sure Dad will confirm, but potentially looking at maybe setting one up in the DT or something. I don't know what he's got planned. But from what we've heard feedback-wise from the customers that bought them so far, I've got one sitting next to
Just
me
about
as
to
confirm.
work it right, Dave.
For the most part, yes. We've heard nothing but good things. Obviously, contrary to the news in the US a little while ago. But yeah, we've heard nothing but good things.
I think that's down to reagents. So in the US, I've seen some terrible comments about, which is really, really unusual. And genuinely, I know how many MPs are out there on the initial few that was secretly distributed amongst people. Not one of those people have come back and complained to any one of the models that we've sold. So I don't know whether there's a difference between reagents that are available now into the UK, or whether when they were launched in the US originally, there was something wrong with the reagents or something. But certainly our experience is that they've not really been problematic at all. I mean, Dave, what's your experience?
Yeah, runs fine.
Yeah,
no problem at all.
Yeah.
Same as the
standard.
Yeah, the standard Trident. Yeah. Yeah, it just works.
Yeah. Do you not think as well, maybe, Dad, that originally in the US, maybe it was because it was released a bit earlier and it could have been beta testing? Maybe it just
they've had to tweak it.
Yeah.
You see a lot of things that come out.
They end up
having to tweak what they've got.
Yeah.
Because it's a small industry. You can only beta test so many, and you probably statistically it's not accurate enough to say that first version is going to be without flaw.
Yeah, I think one of the good things with the standard Trident is, of course, you can tell it what you want it to do. So with the standard Trident. So if I do it all the time. So I calibrate my Trident, and then I'll get Barry to carry out lots of tests and stuff, and then we'll make modifications to the Trident's figures. So it'll always tune into your test kit, which is what I really love about it. But on the Trident MP, according to Dave, you can't do that yet.
No, you can't do it yet. I'm hoping we get an update, but
we'll
see. Yeah.
Is there a rumor? Is there a rumor that we might?
I don't know.
Look at you. So yeah, I think it'll be good.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, right. So, got a couple of comments, and then we need to do the giveaway. Right, where are we? There's a couple of people saying about reef elements. They use that. Do you need a Apex system to use Trident?
Yes, you do.
You do, Sebastian. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you use because they've got 3 versions? Could you buy the junior?
So the short answer is that you're going to need the more expensive one. Now, you can
Pro,
do it with
you've got 3.
So you've got the junior, the standard, and the pro. Now you can do it with the standard or the pro. The junior, I'll be honest with you, yes, people will probably argue in the comments that you can do it, but it's a lot more long-winded because you have to buy more modules, you have to buy an energy bar because the junior only just comes with the brain and the brain alone. And obviously it's got less ports on it, which means that you've got to buy more modules to make things work properly.
Right.
So actually, not only is it probably less cost-effective to do it that way, it also means you can end up with more plug sockets and more bangs and whistles to go along with it. Whereas with the starter kits, the larger ones, it kind of all comes included, and all you need extra is the Trident itself.
We're getting an answer to the question relating there that Seb just said about does it cause salinity issues on something as small as a nano? Well, it will obviously be removing some water from the system, but it's not very much. And will you press the button? It does. So it will cause some issues in the. It's a minor amount. So, but on a nano reef, let's be honest, you should be checking your salinity at least twice a week anyway. So you'd make a minor alteration.
Your water changing once or twice a week, that'd keep well on top of it.
If you're dosing, though, remember, if you're using any form of dosing, you're, like I was saying earlier on, you are in theory displacing the ionic balance. So you are meant to be removing small amounts of water anyway from the system.
And in a nano, I suppose that's more acute, isn't it?
In a nano, it's more acute, but yeah, I would say that it wouldn't really be of concern to me. So put it this way, it takes around about a month on a 1,500 litre system to fill up a 1 litre vessel of waste reagent. So it's a very minor.
I've never noticed it.
Yeah, most people wouldn't notice it, is the truth of that.
Okay. Right, just got one more question. Are the QD DOS all good and sorted here compared to US issues?
I've not heard a single complaint or issue. I have sold a couple of DOS QDs. All I've heard is improvements on the previous ones. They're much quieter on the heads. We're actually using one in store currently on one of the tables, and so far we found it very, very good. Barry and I hardly ever notice it's dosing. Don't hear it at all. We have to double check, make sure it's working sometimes. But yeah, again, all good things. I think again, it's just the US thing.
I think it's because they get their stuff
early.
They get their stuff early, and ultimately, it doesn't matter what piece of reefing equipment we're talking about, whether it's doesn't matter whose brand, whatever it is, whenever it's brand new and it's out there, there's always going to be, first of all, consumer misunderstanding and teething issues and things like that. So, as I said, we're not experiencing this. We have to remind ourselves that there are thousands and thousands of Neptune sets out there, but you know, it's you know, what will you ever hear about the complaints and complaints only? But generally, no, we're not experiencing or seeing any problems really.
Do you not think it's just because they got more customers?
Do you know what, Andy, Sam? That's a great
sample of people using the machines.
Yeah.
So they'll have more complaints.
There's a much larger.
What was that, Sam? Sorry.
Just like when Apple send out their software, they've got such a vast amount of people that use their software. They're going to find problems.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
Got a much larger.
Potentially, it could be something to do with that.
It's very true. Very, very true.
Where the customer base is bigger, it's always going to get something first. So if there's more people going to be buying something out of America, they're always going to get it first.
We're quite a small part, really.
We are. We also got to bear in mind as well that Neptune is a US company.
Yeah.
So they're going to serve their motherland customer bases first and foremost.
Well, if you go back a few years, not that long ago, they were very much
US
developing US, and there was a lot of complaints from UK users, weren't there? With the plug bar and all that kind of stuff went on for a while. It's only really since they've been taken over or invested in, should we say, that they've now opened their doors more, should we say, to the rest of the world.
And I think, again, that's probably why equally it's then been delayed somewhat to get into the UK, especially Trident MP. They will know as well. We wait months and months for it. I think that's because they're too busy sorting out the TV issues to make sure it's all right for us.
Absolutely. And I think also Exodus now being the UK supplier, who are excellent. They've been brilliant on Ecotech, I think, over the years, that the service level will go up because there wasn't really any support in the UK if anything went wrong. I know you did it for a little while on that side. So I think that helps when you've got a UK supplier. Look at, and I was saying, Reef Factory. I thought really good. They done it, then the UK supplier stopped. And then I think they went a little, this is my personal view, not the shop's view, I think went downhill. There was more complaints. I don't think they were visible. And a lot of people stopped buying Reef Factory stuff. And that's only from the people I know, what we used to discuss on the live stream. Now they have a UK supplier again.
Well, I've just had a meeting actually with Reef Factory, and I have to say, Marek is he's a very approachable gentleman, and he's been over here only last week, I think it was, when Angie was last week. And I had a sit-down meeting with him, and Marek's the first to put his hands up. He's very admirable. He put his hands up. He said, "Look, we grew too fast. We lost our UK distribution." And all of that, but he's doing his. You should hear in the new year a little bit more positive things about Reef Factory and trying to recover some of that customer service. They are customer care. So
right, we're going to do competition or giveaway time now. Right. So if you want to enter, going to keep it simple and clean. Just put in the comments Red Sea. So just put Red Sea in.
We'll take you in there. Ready, steady, go. Red Sea.
And I will pick up the names and put them in. So you want to carry on? I didn't say this. So do you want to carry on talking, Paul, while I
talk about what?
Well, I don't know.
I think we've done it, haven't we?
You're good here.
Donna's in it. Red Sea. She's done it.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really quite sure what to talk about at this point.
I said a minute ago, actually, about not having like all the apexy stuff not that long ago. I had a customer not that long ago.
Yeah, I suppose the technology. I suppose what I would say is that I think we're in a really fortunate time because there's so many tools now. I mean, the way I should try and explain it to people that are buying high tech equipment. Ever rule out though the basics. You should always be doing the basics. There's nothing like making sure that you've got a basic test kit that you trust to check off against your Hannah checkers or to your Trident or to whatever. So never lose the basic skill set, despite the technology. But it is a fantastic time to be being in the hobby because there's an awful lot of really good equipment out there to make the hobby more enjoyable and more fun. But don't think that you have to have it. Sometimes I speak to people and they think that in order to have a great reef tank, they've got to have the best equipment in order to do it. You haven't. You can do it without it. It just depends on your knowledge as to how far you can take a reef tank without that. But I think it's a really exciting time in the.
Well, Dave just said just then, Dave, customer of ours for 13, 15 years, he still tests every single week. Every week. He's got all the bangs and whistles.
He's gadget man.
And I still believe or believe more, a Salifert test kit over the Trident.
But the nice thing about the Trident is you can see a rapid change.
Exactly.
You know, and actually, I wouldn't just say the Trident. I mean, the KH Keeper by Reef Factory, we just mentioned Reef Factory. That's always been really, really good for sending alerts out and notifications. And you know, so any of these tools are great for giving you some guidance, but never lose those basic skill set you learned when you first started. Exactly. That's what I always say, particularly. You know, and in terms of lighting, I would say we're in a very, very good space for lighting at the moment. We've got, you know, many of the best brands in the world in the UK. You know, some countries are not serviced by these companies. I mean, you can imagine, I know that certain countries like Australia, for example, they struggle with supply on certain brands that they want and what have you. There is a lot of countries out there in this world, I can tell from the online store inquiries, that just don't get Ecotech, or they don't get the ATI. They don't get these things. So, I mean, that's the other thing. We are in a very fortunate supply chain. We've got great distributors that are bringing in, you know, hot products in all of the time. I mean, have you seen the ATI Stratton, Dave? Have you looked at that?
No, I ain't seen that.
Oh, I might be able to show you one.
You might need a new toy.
Yeah, might have a new. We might have a new toy for you, Dave.
I think Noah had him on his arm initially, didn't he?
Yeah. But, yeah, so it's been a really exciting time.
Yeah.
So just a comment. Why do you trust the Salifert more than your?
Because it's not very
Neptune?
often. I'd do a test. I think call that's a million miles out, but it has happened on the Trident before. The last bit of reagent at the end, or
I think it's that familiarity. I mean, talking from my own point of view, testing the shop daily.
Yeah.
Again, Barry and I interfacing with customers day in day out, having the same sort of conversations. With manual test kits, I think there's a lot more. It's you that's at fault. If you get an erroneous test kit, the first thing you do is go, I've probably done a test wrong.
Yeah.
So you then do a second test, and then you might do a third test just to confirm it. Whereas with computer systems, obviously, you're then relying on software and algorithms, which obviously are out of your control.
Yeah.
So I think it's that element of reliability and just, I mean, we're the first people to say it in the shop, aren't we? You know,
you're the same.
The amount of times that, you know, we've got most of our customers, that guys at home will know, we've got every toy that we could ever have at our disposal, most of which are on the go, apart from a Trident MP. Yeah, it'll be a bit of
Don't worry, boys, you'll get there
one day.
But yeah, no, we've got it all, and we still, you know, Dad's been a massive advocate of just test the bloody tank. Just because the machine says it's all right, don't worry about that. Test the bloody tank.
Yeah.
So
it's a question from Surrey Reaper. Whilst Paul's typing in.
Do you think gadgets affect people's learning in the hobby?
Great question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great question.
Yeah, I totally believe that to be the case.
Gadget man, what do you think?
I don't know, because you've got to understand it in order to get the results.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it could lead you into. So, for example, the number one bit of kit that the newbies fall foul of is a Hannah phosphate checker. Because, for example, unless you're absolutely thorough with that, like lab conditions and cleaning it, that one piece of kit causes you no end, Barry, of problems, isn't it? Digital salinity meters as well.
That's another one.
There's nothing like a standard refractometer.
As someone from a generation that obviously the technological age probably attracts a bit more, I would say that, yes, I do agree somewhat, that especially my generation, Dylan's generation, you know, they're going to be attracted to Sam's generation. Sorry, mate. They're going to be attracted to the technology because we've grown up with a generation that's grown up.
That's very ageist.
And I
love a gadget.
I stand by.
I also say though the phosphate. I find the test kits with the color charts on phosphate is so hard to read. I've always found it. So I mean, the nitrates, all the you can always see.
Yeah.
alkalinity.
That's a good
Glue
point. A lot of
change,
people struggle.
Phosphate is always so. That's why I use the Hannah.
I like,
can
the,
never tell.
the Tropic Marine one's quite good on the phosphate. I used to love
Oh, really?
Elos, but
That's
you can't
not
get
really,
Elos
yeah.
anymore,
It's
can
the
you?
Tropic Marine.
Elos is excellent, and then Tropic Marine.
That's the blue.
I think it's the
it's
because you got.
Yeah.
I still struggle
Yeah.
with that.
So
Even
I'm
on
all
the
right with
lower
that.
we
end.
find, I don't know about you, Paul, actually, as an independent party on the same test kit. Barry and myself, I've always thought that actually, although unfortunately we can't get Elos anymore on this chamber can't, but
Brilliant.
I would say that the Tropic Marine PO4 Pro kit is the
Very
closest.
Well, I use that one there because you got 12. I think it's 12, isn't it? On,
Yeah.
on that, just like you did with
Such a
Elos.
wider range.
Yeah, and
compared
you
to
can
other
go right up to
kits.
0.5. No, up to 5. Or,
I think it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how are we doing, Paul? Have we got
Right.
most people?
So yes, we've got 30 seconds, and I'm just going to type in closed. So you got to get in there quickly, otherwise
30 seconds,
You're out.
people. Lose, you lose. If you snooze, you lose. Red Sea
we're
is
going
the
to
key
press
word.
the button now.
There we go.
We are done.
Right.
Right. So I'm now going to share the screen.
Come
Let's
on,
go
brother.
back.
Did Jack get in there as well?
Don't know. Am I allowed to enter?
I have to go for a spot.
Right. So what I'm going to do first of all, because I've been known to miss people off, is, and that should be sharing. Why is it not sharing?
Right. Hold on,
Oh, yeah.
folks. Technical problem. One.
Technical difficulties.
That's our Santa.
Right. Oh, there we go. It's a bit of a lag on it. Right. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to scroll down the names, and if your name is not there, then put in the chat.
Angela
It
Angela
scrolls down.
Hughes isn't in there apparently. Carl.
I need to stop back on the shelves. Ready for Christmas.
Right. So I'm just coming down very slowly, and we've lagged.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Don't worry, we'll
Thank you.
bottle
You
and
know.
call it bacteria.
That's going to be next
Rub it
month.
in the tank now.
Right. So that's it. That's all the names. Hopefully you'll see that on screen.
Ange, can you see anything in the chat there that is?
Yeah, how's
someone-
it looking, Mum? Can you see the wheels?
Can't
Yeah,
see
I can see the wheel.
Okay.
Not on your phone. Yeah, there's about a 30-second lag between us and what's going out live.
Hmm.
But I can see it on my phone. I
Yeah.
can see the
Okay,
wheel.
that's cool.
That's all right.
Opportunity to hit the dump button.
Right. So what's going to be the first one that we give away?
Right. Okay. So right. First of all, we're gonna go for.
Not far
Oh.
No, Chris, stay in.
No.
No. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go for an old school tool, the seawater refractometer. Every Hannah phosphate, every Hannah salinity checker should have one of these.
Great, should do.
As a backup.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Even store it.
So for the seawater refractometer from Red Sea, very kindly donated. Go for it, Paulie.
Good luck, everyone.
That's right.
We're spinning.
There's a lag.
Right.
And the winner is Daniel Murray.
Well done, Dan.
He's a Red Sea fan. I know he is.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to the rep. So yeah. So Dan, you got a replacement. I know you've probably got about 5 of these, but you
Yeah.
can always do with an extra one when you throw them on the floor like Barry does every
Yeah.
week.
Right.
That's
So
it.
I'm just
So
going to
Dan
take...
Morris, Ange, we can write down. I'll go Dan Morris. Dan.
So, do you want
Right,
me to
I'm
keep an
just
eye on
taking-
it?
I'm just
Okay,
taking-
I'll keep an eye on it.
Just taking that down. So there's only...
To win to get your Christmas present.
Right.
I like her
I
style.
wish you hadn't got me in
And Paul,
Right.
what's the next one?
The next one is Red Sea, very, very good Red Sea carbon, not too aggressive. If you know anything about carbon, so this carbon, as I find,
I
is
use
one,
it.
it's a much less aggressive type of carbon. It's less shocking. So there's times where you want a really strong carbon, like
Yeah.
rower carbon, to drag something out. And there are times when you want a very sort of, very light carbon.
Yeah,
and I
and
would
this
say
is
it's
light.
very, very good. I use this on the seahorses, for example.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to press the button. Good luck, everyone.
Whoa. Oh.
Oh, Jay.
Yay.
But there was someone in the comments who's just Jay. So I don't know who Jay is. So they're going to have to reach out to you via
Instagram.
What's the best way?
No, by a business, by Facebook Messenger, ideally. Facebook Messenger.
The shop phone,
or the shop phone.
WhatsApp on the shop phone.
What? There we go.
I don't know.
Put his full name in the chat.
Yeah.
Can you put your full name in the chat?
Hugh says.
Yeah. Full name in the chat, please. Right. So
okay.
And the third one
The third one is a Reef Can 18, which is very,
nice.
very useful. Nice and slim. Look at that. 18
they're large,
litres.
aren't they?
So very well sturdy made. I know there's a lot of criticism online about how expensive these
They were. It was originally,
but they are their own. There are their own moulding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. There you go. So a reef can, it fits in your ATO in one side, nice little rubber bung, and it's easy to fill on the other side.
Yeah. Jay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So we're going to press the button again.
Reef can. Red Sea Reef Can.
And the winner
sounds like a police song.
is
Copyright.
Reese. Hey, congratulations, ladies.
Well,
He can pick this up,
he
can't
can
he?
pick this up.
After the weekend,
So no posting that
No
one
post to race. But that's all. That'll help him out, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
He's got a DD Reef Pro. So,
nice.
it might
Then
be-
cabinet nicely.
He can then expand his sump.
Yes.
I bet he would like to expand his sump.
He could do.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to move.
Right.
Last but not least.
And
Last
last
but not least, we've got the top prize,
Reef ATO.
which is the Red Sea Reef ATO, probably our most popular. I mean, we sold a lot of tons of ATOs, but this one is super
Yeah, I've got that one. Yeah.
For that. So very, very good product there. So yeah, Reef ATO up for grabs. Go for it, Paulie.
Here we go. Last but not least.
Oh! Just
Lewis
missed
Cox.
Lewis Cox.
Lewis Cox.
You don't come here to watch me, Lewis.
See, we told you you're a circus.
I'm having that, Lou. He gets all the luck.
Lewis Cox, David Evans threatens he's claiming it.
Right. So
It is round the corner from me. I might as well
that.
take it.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thanks,
entering.
guys.
And thank you for Red Sea. So they donated 4 top prizes there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm sort of hoping that because Red Sea were very, I didn't have to ask them, they were very, very generous.
Volunteer,
They
didn't
actually
they?
contacted me and said, Paul, if you're going to do another one of them live streams, you do it again.
Yeah.
So anyone else out there who's a manufacturer or a supplier, like, I do know there's someone from NIOS in there this evening. Yeah. I'm sure you can encourage Exodus to donate a few goods to us.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll do a little bit more of this, Paul. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Next year, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. I think we're done.
Well,
There you go.
we are, but I've got the last little.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can
I've
we
just
sing
got
Merry Christmas?
just
Yeah.
So basically all I wanted to say was thank you so much everyone for not just joining us on the live stream, but I know many of you that tune in as well are customers or at least visited AAC once or twice. Thank you so much for what's a really difficult year generally economic. As you know, we're still really grateful of your support as a business. To our business, and just going to wish you all a very happy Christmas. I hope you have a really nice sort of time, and hopefully we'll catch a few in store as well, Barry.
Absolutely, yeah. Merry Christmas to everyone, particularly those who don't see in store, but looking forward to seeing all you guys who do make it down.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
We've got one more question here, and I don't know the answer, Paul. We'll have to get together in the new year.
Yeah,
won't we?
wait till next time.
There we go.
So,
There we go.
don't know.
Don't bloody start.
We have not spoken about it at all.
genuinely haven't spoke, yeah.
No, we haven't. No, because I need to sort out what I'm doing work-wise in the new year.
Are you or not?
I don't know until January.
Oh,
I won't know until January when I know what projects I've got and have
what,
got
are you
time.
emigrating or something?
No, I might have some work to do. I've been quite light when I've had, earlier this year I was quite light, so you know how many hours got into it.
I know.
You run my one, so
well,
it depends.
yeah, freaks wise, yeah, I don't know. That depends on whether Barry can put up with me losing the plot all the time. But it's yes, yeah. So the only thing I will say is that since we did Coral Creeks and Love to Reef,
yeah,
I have had
there has been some contact with a few international guests.
Oh, is there? Okay, we'll have
Because
a
they
chat.
saw
in a
their
minute.
friends come over.
Yes, yeah, I
So
want
now
that one.
They're
Yeah,
thinking, oh, I quite like that idea. So we
We'll have a
might be
chat.
very lucky. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll have a chat in January. Yeah.
absolutely. Right, and thank you to our guests.
Yeah.
Live
Merry
audience.
Christmas,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
We don't see you in store. Thank you as always.
Yeah.
So that's it for us. We'll be back in January. We'll sort out a day and
Yeah.
get some more guests on. But for now, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas,
Good
everyone.
health to
Take care,
everyone.
guys. Be safe.
See you later.
See you
Bye
later.
for now.
Bye.